Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that sounds simple but can be really tricky. Language.
Yeah, specifically how the words we use, it, especially in learning and training, can either, you know, boost everything or become a real hurdle.
Right. You're here because you want to get up to speed quickly, understand things deeply, but without all the fluff. So let's dive in.
Okay, so in this deep dive, we're really getting into why having a shared understanding of key terms is, well, fundamental for good training. We're using Steve Rosenbaum's work, How to Improve Any Learning Organization, as our guide here.
Rosenbaum makes this great point. Look, dictionary definitions can vary wildly, right? But what really counts is when your team agrees on what a term means in your context. It's like building your own internal language guide.
Which brings up a good question for you listening right now. Have you ever been in a meeting, maybe, where everyone's nodding along using a certain term
Uh,
and you think you're all aligned, but then later it turns out everyone had a totally different picture in their head?
Oh, definitely. That happens all the time, doesn't it? We all have these sort of mental shortcuts, these assumed definitions, and that's where things can get messy.
Yeah, Rosenbaum even quotes John Locke, which is fascinating. Locke said centuries ago, "So difficult it is to show the various meanings and imperfections of words when we have nothing else but words to do it with."
It's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? Using words to fix the problems with words.
Exactly. And the training field? It seems particularly prone to this. You've got older terms like, say, learning objective, still hanging around alongside newer ideas like social learning.
So it becomes this mix, potentially confusing.
Right. And the key thing Rosenbaum argues isn't necessarily finding the one perfect universal definition. It's about the shared meaning within your group.
Like those basic words, training, education, learning, we often just toss them around interchangeably.
We do.
Yeah.
But if you're serious about learning design, those nuances matter. If one person thinks training is just a classroom event and another thinks it includes coaching and on-the-job practice,
You're going to have problems. Misunderstandings are almost guaranteed.
and these aren't just abstract problems, they have real-world impact. Let's take Rosenbaum's example, asking an instructional designer to build a curriculum.
Okay.
What pops into your head when you hear that? Just a list of courses, maybe.
Could be. Or maybe something much bigger, like a whole plan with informal stuff, job aids, mentoring.
Exactly. Without a shared definition, who knows what you'll get?
Eh.
Rosenbaum actually talks about his own experience with his learning paths methodology. Early on, trying to discuss business needs just failed
Why?
because people were using the same basic terms but had totally different underlying assumptions about what they meant. They thought they were communicating,
But they weren't. Not really.
which just underscores how vital it is to define your key terms up front, like proficiency in his methodology.
Right. Proficiency. What's the common confusion there?
Well, lots of people mix it up with a competency. They think it's about having skills, knowledge, the right attitude, all that stuff.
But that's not his definition.
No. For Rosenbaum, proficiency is simpler, more focused. It's an outcome. It's a demonstrated level of performance. Can you actually do the thing to the required standard? It's observable, measurable.
Okay, so he uses these is and is not diagrams to make it clear.
Yeah, they're super helpful. For proficiency, the is side says, it is a measure of performance. It is observable and measurable. It's about outputs and results. It is the end result of a learning path.
Got it. Performance focused. And the is not.
Proficiency is not competency. It's not a job description, not a task analysis, not a performance goal, and not learning objectives. It clarifies what it isn't, which helps sharpen the focus.
That makes sense. And he does the same for learning path.
Yep. A learning path is a sequence of learning activities. Importantly, it includes formal, informal, social, and experiential learning, and it has a timeline.
So it's the whole journey, not just one piece.
Right. And the is not list is key here, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a curriculum, not just a training plan, not merely a list of courses, definitely not a single event, and not just a process map. It's the structured sequence leading to proficiency.
And giving examples helps, I bet. Like the sales pipeline one.
Absolutely. Saying proficiency is building a sales pipeline effectively makes it concrete, much easier to grasp than just the abstract term.
Okay, so we see the problem, we see the need for clear definitions. How do we actually do this in our own organizations? Is it complicated?
Rosenbaum suggests it's actually pretty straightforward. It usually starts with, well, a discussion, getting the team together,
Just talking it out.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But it helps to come prepared. Maybe bring a list of potentially ambiguous terms used in your area. Think business case, coaching, competency, things like that. Give people something to react to.
And who should be in that discussion? Just the L&D folks.
No, definitely not. You need wider input.
Yeah.
Leadership, staff who will do the learning, vendors, maybe even supervisors or coaches who deliver training but aren't formal L&D experts. Get all those perspectives.
That makes sense. Broad buy-in.
He also suggests something called an activity description with an overview paragraph.
Really?
Basically, start any description of a training activity with 2 or 3 sentences beginning, the
Yeah.
purpose of this activity is to.
Forcing clarity on the why.
Exactly. Like his acetylene torch example.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose isn't just use the torch. It's use it safely, get feedback, etc. It clarifies intent.
Simple but powerful. Any other quick tips?
Yeah, a really practical one. If you hire consultants, just ask them point blank for the definitions of the key terms they're using. Seems obvious, but
We probably don't do it often enough.
right. And ultimately, the goal isn't to find the one perfect platonic ideal of a definition. It's about agreeing on a definition, your definition, and then using it consistently. That shared understanding is the real prize.
So wrapping up, the big takeaway here is don't underestimate the power of language. Getting your terms straight isn't just, admin. It's fundamental to building an effective learning organization.
Absolutely. It's about clear communication, avoiding confusion, and making sure everyone is pulling in the same direction.
Which leads to a final thought for you, our listener. What are the key terms floating around your workplace? Are you sure everyone means the same thing when they say onboarding or mentorship or performance support?
Yeah, maybe pause and think about that. What if the biggest thing holding your team or organization back isn't budget or skills or strategy, but just the simple fact that you're not all speaking quite the same language?
Maybe initiating that conversation about definitions, getting that shared understanding. Maybe that's the next crucial step, something to definitely consider.